Good morning, boys and girls. Today we are on lesson 114 of our math book. Today's lesson is simplifying fraction answers. So we are going to use some of the skills that we've learned in the last several lessons and put them all together to be able to find the best answer to these problems on the board. So we'll start with 2/3 plus 2/3. What do we got there, Nyla?
That's 4/3, except it can't be 4/3.
It can be 4/3. 2 pencils plus 2 pencils is 4 pencils. 2/3 plus 2/3 is 4/3. Now, what you mean by we can't is we don't want to leave it like that because this is an improper fraction because we have the bigger number on the top. So I know that if I have 4/3, that means how many whole pieces do I have? If I have 4/3, I can draw it in circles here. So 4 of them would be like this. So how many whole circles do I have?
1.
I know that I have 1 whole circle, and how much of the next circle?
And 1/3 of the next
I have 1 and 1/3. So this right here is the answer that we're looking for. This is changed from an improper fraction to a mixed number, and the fraction is written in simplest form, meaning I can't reduce this any further. Okay, let's look at this one. What's 3/4 minus 1/4?
Okay, that's 2/4.
That would be 2/4. So I don't have an improper fraction here, but I can reduce this. I immediately notice, oh hey, that's even and that's even, which means, like yesterday's lesson, we can divide both of them by 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so my simplest answer is 1/2. Okay? All right, let's look at this mixed number problem. I have 5 3/5 plus 6 4/5. I'm going to change this a little bit. Instead of 5 3/5, I'm going to write it as 5 plus 6 plus 3/5 plus 4/5. So here, I know these are going to combine to be 11. And what's 3/5 plus 4/5?
7/5.
7/5. So can I say 11 and 7/5 as my answer?
No.
No, I have to reduce this. This is an improper fraction, and I have to turn that into a mixed number. So 7/5, I have 7 pieces, and it takes 5 of them to make a whole. So I know I have 1 whole, and I have 2 left over out of the 7 here. So 2/5. So now 11 plus 1 2/5 is going to give me 12 wholes, my 11 plus my 1, and 2/5 left of the fraction. So there's my answer to this one. Okay, we have a couple of word problems that we're going to look at that use these same skills. So let's make some space on the board. Okay, so the first word problem is about Nicholas. Nicholas exercises each day by walking. The route he walks each morning is 3 1/3 miles long. Oh, let's do blue for the question. 3 1/3. And the route he walks each evening is 4 2/3 miles long. So he walks this far in the morning, he walks this far in the evening. All together, what does all together mean in a math problem?
All together means
It's a key word, Nyla. Does it tell us that we're going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? All together tells us we're going to add. All together, how far, how many miles does Nicholas walk each day? So we're adding 2 mixed numbers. So again, I'm going to rewrite it as 3 plus 4 plus 1/3 plus 2/3. So 3 plus 4 gives me 7. And what's 1/3 and 2/3?
3/3, otherwise known as 1 whole.
3/3, otherwise known as 1 whole. So 7 plus 1
Is
equals 8, and it's a word problem, so we need a label. 8 miles. There's our answer. Okay? All right, our second word problem is about fabric. A piece of fabric 1 3/8 yard in length was cut from a bolt of fabric that measured 6 5/8 yards long. How long is the piece of fabric left on the bolt? Left is another key word. What does that tell us?
It means subtract.
It means subtract. Can I take 1 3/8 and subtract 6 5/8 like that? No. So I have to change how I wrote it. I have to take the larger amount, 6 5/8, and subtract 1 3/8. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn this into 2 subtraction problems by saying 6 minus 1 equals 5. And then I'm going to take 5/8 minus 3/8, and that equals
2/8.
2/8. Okay, so this one worked because 5/8 is more than 3/8. Eventually you'll get to problems where that's not going to work. You might have 6 3/8 minus 1 5/8. But for this lesson, let me check the examples. Yes, for this lesson, it's going to give you the bigger fraction here so that you can do it like this. You can take the 6 minus 1 to get 5, and the 5/8 minus 3/8 to get 2/8, and then we do want to simplify this 2/8. What can I divide both 2 and 8 by?
2.
It can be divided by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4, so my final answer is going to be 5 1/4. Okay? All right. That is the end of the examples. I have a couple of problems that I'd like you to practice for your lesson practice. Let me get those up on the board, starting with 4/5 plus 4/5. Then 5/6 minus 1/6. 3 2/3 plus 1 2/3. 5 1/4 plus 6 3/4. 7 7/8 minus 1 1/8. And our last one, 5 3/5 plus 1 3/5. If you would like to pause the video to work on these problems, when you hit play, we'll go over the answers together. Okay, Nyla, what is 4/5 plus 4/5?
8/5.
It is 8/5. Can we leave our answer like that?
No.
What do we need to do?
We need to draw a picture to find the actual answer.
We can draw a picture. Can we do it without drawing a picture?
Mm-hmm.
How can you do that?
So, I know that if you subtract 5 from 8, you get 3.
Okay, she's saying if I take 8 minus 5, I get 3. How does that help me?
Well, it takes 5/5 to make 1 whole.
So we're going to use 5 of those fifths and say we have 1 whole. And then how many are left?
The other 3 for our fraction.
We have 3/5 left. So that is the answer we're looking for. Okay, B, what's 5/6 minus 1/6?
That is 4/6.
4/6. Can I leave my answer like that?
Mm-hmm.
Can I?
Mm.
They're both even. Can I simplify that a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
I can simplify. If I divide both the top and the bottom by 2, I'll get a simpler form. So 4 divided by 2 is?
2.
2. And 6 divided by 2 is?
3.
3. So 2/3 is the answer we're looking for B. C. How should we do this, Nyla?
We should arrange that 3 plus 1 plus 2/3 plus 2/3.
Okay. So what's 3 plus 1?
Give me a second. 4.
And 2/3 plus 2/3?
4/3. But we can't do that.
So 4/3, what are we going to rewrite that as?
1 and 1/3.
1 and 1/3. You got it. So 4 plus 1 and 1/3 equals 5 and 1/3 for our answer to C. D, 5 and 1/4 plus 6 and 3/4.
Do it the same way we did this.
5 plus 6 plus 1/4 plus 3/4. Okay, 5 plus 6 is
11.
11, and 1/4 and 3/4.
4/4, except that's 1
And
whole.
4/4 equals 1, so our answer is
12.
12 with no fraction. Okay, now pay attention. This is a subtraction problem. Okay, what are we going to subtract first?
First we subtract 1
7.
and 7.
7 minus 1, okay.
6.
Then what do we subtract?
7/8 and 1/8.
And 7/8 minus 1/8 is?
6/8.
Can I simplify 6/8 at all?
Mm-hmm.
What would it be?
Divide it by 2.
Divide both top and bottom, numerator and denominator, by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is?
3.
3. And 8 divided by 2 is?
4.
So my answer is going to be 6 and 3/4. Okay? And our final problem here, I'm going to rewrite it just like I rewrote all of the other ones. Okay, 5 and 1 is?
6.
6, and 3/5 and 3/5.
6/5, except we can't do that.
So we're going to rewrite 6/5.
That's 1 whole and 1/6. 5th
1 and 1/5. So 6 plus 1 and 1/5
is
Is
7
7
and 1/5.
and 1/5. Okay? All right, that is the end of this lesson. Right now is the time for you to work on your written practice, which begins on page 722 of your book. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again soon.